over here in this little bricked in area. We're going to take some questions from the audience. We are going to give you guys an update on our progress. How are we going to get a zoo in the area? And when might that be? I know you guys have lots and lots of questions. So if you would like to join us, any of our attendees or even any of our vendors, come on over. Feel free to have a seat. I'm sure our resident mermaid would be willing to share a corner of her rug. If you would like to have a seat over there, it'll be like story time with the mermaid. So come on over, stand, sit, whatever you need to do. Few housekeeping things for everybody. There's a black table where April, our good friend April, is raising her hand. She's got lots of information printed out if you want to take something with you. She also has some paper that you can write down your questions. If you've got a question for us and you don't feel like raising your hand and answering it, go see April and write it down, and then we can get it and we can talk about it up here, and you don't have to raise your hand and be called on like you're in school again. Okay. Do we have our audience? Do we have everybody who is going to be joining us? Just keep joining us. Also, I know there are children, I know there are dogs. It's totally fine. You make noise, you get up, you move around, whatever you got to do, okay? So you can send somebody to pet the tortoise if they're getting antsy. The tortoise is back there by the giant goldfish. So just look for the giant goldfish right now and you'll find the tortoise. Okay. I've got our executive director, Ethan Woodruff, and he's gonna give us a little update on what's going on, and then we're gonna take some questions. So, Ethan, are you ready for that portion?
I think. Should we try this again? All right. If I get too far in front of these speakers, we're going to get feedback. So, yeah. So if you can hear my voice over there, please gather around. We're going to talk about the progress for the zoo, where we're at, what we've been doing. But before we do that, I have a couple little warm-up questions for you. All right? All right. Question number 1 for you all. Which reptile has a tongue that can measure the length of its body? Chameleon! Good job! Come up here and choose a prize. Good job, red panda. All right. All right. Question number 2 for you all. This animal is an oddity. It is an egg-laying mammal. It has a duck bill, and it is venomous. What is that? Who said that? Come on up here. Okay, come here. Come here. Go ahead and pick one. What's a tough choice? You got a good one. Hey, come here for a second. What's your name? Your name is Mackenzie? How old are you, Mackenzie? 3? That's awesome. All right, you can go sit down now. All right, did everybody see Mackenzie's face? Did you see the joy and the awe in her face? That is what started this journey. So when I was taking my daughter to the Birmingham Zoo, we were at the sloth because the sloths were her favorite. And we were there for quite a while. It gave me a chance to start watching the people as they walked by. And there's people with strollers. I see some strollers here. There's families. The kids were excited to see this animal and go to the next one and learn so much. And sometimes mom and dad was a little bit tired, I have to admit, but there was just smiles on their face. And then we walked out of the if you know the Birmingham Zoo, you walk out of the primate house and there's a pathway not unlike this, and their moms in jogging strollers with their little coffees and their kids talking and just sharing and connecting, and we saw this all throughout the zoo. The final part was in the butterfly house, and I saw a 4-year-old boy. He was looking down at his finger, and grandma was holding his finger as still as possible. And the look on his face, because there was a butterfly sitting on the... If you ever try to get a butterfly to land on your finger, you know how impressive that is, just in that. You got a butterfly on your hand? That's so cool, isn't it? Yes, and that awe that was in both grandma and grandson's face. And that they asked the question, well, why don't we have that in Huntsville? Is there some reason for this? Why Huntsville doesn't have a zoo? So that started a journey, and it's a 6 steps journey. Okay, step 1, which we've already completed, was, is this even feasible? What? I mean, there's got to be some financial reason why there's no zoo here. Turns out no, that's not it. I mean, there's a financial reason why we haven't gotten the zoo constructed yet, and that's what we're working on, but it's not because Huntsville can't support it. It's not because Limestone County can't support it. It's not because Morgan County can't support it. It's just because it hasn't been done. We didn't have a dedicated organization like a lot that you see here in the yellow and beige shirts here to make it happen, okay? So step 1 was the feasibility. We talked a lot of zoos. We did market analysis. We did the business analysis. And everything pointed to the fact that this would be a great place to have a zoo. That's step 1. Step 2 was we had to create a business, okay? So in order for, zoos are great places, but they run on money. And if there's no good business plan, then you're at risk. And the last thing we'd want to do is be at risk when we have a whole bunch of animals that we got to take care of, right? And so there has to be a very good business plan in place. And so we worked again with several other zoos, executive directors that are very successful throughout the country, and we asked them, well, what makes you guys successful? What in the business makes you guys so that you guys can continue to operate, and not just operate, but keep going and improving and doing wonderful things? And so we collected all that stuff and we created that business plan. And then we started engaging with different stakeholders throughout the community. We've talked to the mayors, all the mayors in the area. We've talked to several different political leaders and business leaders. And we got that engagement with those stakeholders. So that's step 2. That's complete. Now, part of that is always continuing, talking to stakeholders, keeping them involved. So now we're on to step 3. What is step 3? I'm going to hold off on that for a second, and I'll tell you what step 3 is, because I want to tell you what step 4, 5, and 6 are, because those are the things that everybody wants to know about. Step 4 is the engineering and design of the zoo. We have a great concept map that has been put together by leading architects. It's the same architects that were the architects for Disney World's Animal Kingdom. Okay, the engineering firm is the same one. They work here locally. They work on a lot of different things, including some of the rocket test stands, but they also do theme parks. They're very big and have done a lot of well-known jobs for Universal Studios and Disney World. So they're from Orlando. They know how to do that stuff. And those are our engineers, okay? And so they put together a great concept map. But step 4 is taking that concept and move it into a master plan. Once we have the master plan, then we can start digging dirt. So that's step 5, construction. Step 5 is going to take about 2 years to do. for our first phase of the zoo. And then what everybody's really wanting is step 6. That's the grand opening. That's when we all get to go walk through the gates and see the wonderful things that you want to see at a zoo. And not just see the wonderful things, but experience those things and experience them with your families and with your community. All right, so let's step back to step 3. What is step 3? So in order to get the zoo, as I said, there's a business, it has to be funded, and most zoos are funded through the community, okay? And the community invests, and the zoos are able to be built. And that's what we're asking for, is to be built. And we have a good business plan that once we're built, that we'll be able to continue through and operate without too much additional support from community investments. But right now, what we're looking at is a community investment from everybody. And that's what we're working on with a lot of the leadership in the area. However, to make this possible, the final step of step 3 is to allow the public to vote on this. And so that is the core of what we're trying to do right now, is get the zoo on a ballot. And we need your help to do that. We need you to be vocal. We need you to talk to your teachers. We want to talk to your teachers. So if you have teachers that would love to have us come and visit, and we'd love that. Talk to your friends, talk to your businesses. We want to talk to them as well and get us involved. And the ultimate goal is sometime next summer, we would like to be able to allow the public to vote on having a zoo. And that's step 3. And once step 3 is done, then we move to step 4, which, like I said, was getting that engineering design work done, and then move to step 5 and 6. All right. With that, do we have any questions, Ms. Jan?
I haven't seen any questions written down on paper, so if anybody has any that are kind of in the back of their mind that they just haven't written down yet, just raise your hand and we'll repeat it so that everybody can hear, and we'll try to get to folks. Does anybody have questions about this process?
So,
I see pointing.
I'm going to pick on this gentleman up here because he asked a very good question earlier. Can I pick on you? All right.
Good. What was that question?
Because I picked on you.
What was his question from earlier?
His question was, what about the site?
Location.
One of the things that we have experienced is there's been a lot of confusion about the whole process, where we're at. Some people think that the zoo's been shelved. It hasn't been shelved. We're still working on it, obviously. But one of the other confusions is where is the site? And I totally understand this, because when we first started this project, we were working with a developer, and up the road, the developer had the best word is, he hadn't procured it yet, but he had targeted a site up the road here from the college, and we were working with him, and we were going to be the anchor for his development. Okay, and so that got put out into the news and out to the community, and we were pretty excited about it. A year later, though, it takes a while for these developments to come to pass, and a year later, unfortunately, the developer found out that he had cancer. Okay, and so rightfully so, he felt like he should concentrate on his health, and so he pulled out of that deal, which meant that we were also out of that deal. So there was a site that we had targeted and we're part of, but now that has expired. And what we've learned, though, is that in order to do this, we're going to need funding. We talked about the funding and the community investment up front. And so once we have that funding in place, we can then go choose the appropriate site. I will tell you, though, that the area being targeted is right here, just north of campus here, right around the Buc-ee's area. This is the area that we're targeting, and there's a good reason for that. One, there's land. For a zoo, we want to have a good amount of land because, the animals need space. That's one of the things that we're learning. Modern zoos are learning that we need to have a lot more space for these animals, and this will allow us to do that in order for the animals to thrive. Plus, as people, we'd like to be out in the outdoors, and we'd like to see these animals in a more naturalistic environment. And number two, in business, location, 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 right? That's what they say, right? Well, we have the freeway right here, and there are thousands and hundreds of thousands of people driving by this location and our area, going to the beach and going back and forth. And it's a great location to grab those visitors to North Alabama, okay? And not only that, it's easy to get to. Many of you came from across North Alabama to come to today. We've talked to people from Huntsville and Madison. We've talked to people from Florence. We've talked to people from Decatur. It's a great centralized location to put the zoo, okay? And so that's two of the main reasons that we wanted to put the zoo in this area. And we're gonna just kind of wave our arms in this area right here between I-65, or sorry, 565 and Buc-ee's. All right, any other questions?
Oh, we got another one.
All right, I only have one hat, so.
What can people do today?
Ooh, great question. Okay, the question was, what can people do today? Oh, great question. I'm so glad you asked. And I did not plant him in the crowd. I really should have. I'll remember that for next time. Today, what you can do is you can sign up to get some information from us. You can give us your contact information. Sign up on our email list. Sign up to get information about how to sponsor an event, about how to donate, how to get involved in our effort to get public funding, how to help us with our vote, and to get the land. Right? What else can people do today?
Today, well, yeah, probably the thing that you could do today is to go to we put together a website, North Alabama Zoo. That's going to be the name of the zoo, okay? NorthAlabamaZoo.com. And just cruise through there, educate yourselves on what information's there. That's what you can do today. And a lot of things that Jan pointed to that you could help us out with are located there with links and buttons. If you have any questions, you have any ideas. The one thing we want this to be is a community zoo. So I had this grand vision. How many of you know of the Brevard Zoo? Anybody know about the Brevard Zoo? No, okay. The Brevard Zoo is in Brevard County. It's a county zoo in Florida. And it was built by the community, literally built by the community, meaning the community came and helped build the buildings. They put hammers in, they had shovels. It was built by the community. I think that would be so awesome to have that happen here. I mean, how would you guys like to dig some dirt for the zoo? Yeah, there you go. So that is actually one of the ideas that we want to do is not only be a community zoo in name, but actually the community be there to help build the actual zoo. So.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions, we're going to turn off our mics here in a few minutes, but we're going to be here. We're just going to be standing around. So if you've got a question, if you want to talk about anything, we'll be here. If you don't want to ask it in front of everybody, totally fine. But we'll be right here. We'll be standing right here on these flagstones.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you all so much for coming today. We really appreciate it.
And enjoy the afternoon. Don't forget our food vendors, the food trucks. They're some of the best. We've worked with them in the past, and it is so good. Yeah.
The arepas are so good.
So, and if you see Twick up here, Twick is our cicada tortoise. He's a baby still. He's going to be about the size of a trash can lid when he gets
I think he
full
hears
grown.
your voice. I think he's headed toward your voice.
I think he is kind of like a cat and really doesn't care what people think.
Thank you guys all so much.